right, good day to you. My name is Fred Oakman, and as always with me today is Mr. Jake Peters. We are PS This Is Awesome, a PlayStation podcast, and this is episode 194. This is a show where we share our feelings about the current state of PlayStation. But before we get on with the show, I want to invite you all to subscribe to our channel on YouTube, youtube.com/PS This Is Awesome, and visit us on Twitter at PS This Is Awesome. We no longer have a website because I'm in the middle of migrating things to another place, so the Tumblr is pretty much not going to be updated anymore. But if you want to make fun of our trophy list on the PSN, you can find me at anchorless_81 and Mr. Jake Peters at jakesaw01. And as always, you can write the show at psthisisawesome@gmail.com, and most importantly, don't forget to share the show with your friends, and be sure to leave comments and rate the podcast as you see fit. And as a reminder, this is a video podcast as well, and you can watch the show if you prefer on our YouTube channel. And for new and or long-time listeners who want to support the show, we now have a Patreon where you can support us at a $1 level called the One and Only $1 Club. So head over to patreon.com/PS This Is Awesome to become a $1 patron, get a free die-cut vinyl sticker mailed to you, and a shout-out on the show. But before we go on any further with this episode, I need to clarify two quick things to the listeners. Number one, I want to apologize for any confusion with episode 193, which came out with the feeds. I've been trying to do some host migration. We're trying to migrate shit, and I've never done this before. It involves doing like a redirect and a permanent redirect, which I haven't implemented yet, but I kind of have a temporary redirect going on right now. Hopefully everything is still showing on your platforms, on your streaming platforms for the show, and want to get all this done before we hit episode 200. So if you are a listener to the show and you have any issues accessing new content, new episodes, and it's not refreshing from week to week to week, and you're getting this episode but nothing after it, please email us at psthisisawesome@gmail.com and let us know what platform you're using, and we will try to get it corrected. As I said before, I've never done anything like this before, and I did do a lot of research, but because we were essentially homebrewing our way onto your streaming platform, it could get messy. So if we disappear, we will be back. So if we load a ton of old shows into your feed on the same day, it's because something got a little screwy. I know that happened with like episodes 185 to 193, yeah. So they all kind of just showed up as like being released that day. That's because we were slowly kind of changing things to make things easier for us. But so once we're migrated, it'll make Jake and I's lives much easier with uploading the show and making it accessible to everybody. And the podcast will be all in one place, and we don't have to do like weird redirects to the shows and stuff. So right now we're uploading it to a hosting thing, and then we're linking the file to another thing that creates a feed that we send to a FeedBurner account, and the FeedBurner account is linked to all these different streaming services. So right now we're consolidating it all into an easy process for ourselves. So the podcast should look a little more professional in your feed, and the descriptions won't get cut off. You should be able to click the more button and see the descriptions. This is also going to integrate with our Patreon page. So down the road, if we get enough patrons, we'll be able to offer exclusive content down the road via our stream, which is exactly what we need to have happen as the show grows. So now's the best time to get this all underway and get it set up before we hit episode 200, and we'll get a nice fresh start around then. So thank you for sticking with the show, and sorry about any kind of confusion. There might be a little more shit going on with the show. Just make sure you're refreshing stuff, and if our show disappears from your podcast platform, just research it and re-download the stuff or resubscribe. So I don't think we're going to lose anybody, but it could happen. Jake, I don't know how familiar you are with this, but there's something called like a permanent redirect. So all these platforms like Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and wherever these people are listening to our podcast, to be honest, they are all currently set to look at the FeedBurner RSS feed that we have set up. And when we're migrating our hosting, we are going to do a permanent redirect and close down our FeedBurner feed, and instead say anything that references that specific address will just instantly redirect to where the new hosting is. So if that permanent redirect doesn't work, and they try to access it, and the feed's been closed down and it doesn't do the redirect the way it's supposed to, our podcast very well may disappear from platforms, which is going to really fucking suck. So I hope that it works. It's scary to do. I have the redirect up, but I haven't deleted the feed yet, and that's like the last process. So, and after we do that, give it a couple weeks and all should be migrated over. But anyways, we can finally have good stats and statistics. I've got better numbers now for the show, which is exciting. And so we're good. So with all that out of the way, Jake, I've done a little bit of heavy lifting on the back end of the podcast here, and it's looking like it's working pretty well. How are you doing?
I am doing just fine, as well as can be expected today.
Good.
COVID has been an issue, but we don't have to get into it. But it's been more of a close to home issue recently. I mean, obviously it's an issue for everyone, but we went to record the podcast, and I spilled my drink all over my desk, so that was a good start.
Yeah.
Trying to think, there was something else that I wanted to talk about.
Hockey.
Turning the clocks back an hour tonight.
Oh, shit.
I don't know if you knew that or not. So you get an extra hour of sleep this evening.
You get an extra? I always get confused when this happens.
Yeah, so at 2 o'clock in the morning, it switches the time back to 1 o'clock. So you get an extra hour. So in the fall, you lose an hour. Spring forward. Fall back, spring forward. Right. So you fall back, meaning the hour goes back, meaning you gain an hour. Spring forward, meaning the hour goes forward, meaning you lose an hour.
Well, this is where my brain breaks. So think about it. So I'm getting up at 5:45, right? So you're saying starting tomorrow, 5:45 in the morning, that we know it as today, will actually be 4:45 in the morning.
Correct.
So 6:45 will be my new 5:45.
Right.
That makes more sense to think about it that way.
So starting tomorrow...
Man, I'm an idiot sometimes when it comes to this kind of... My brain is so creative that I can't wrap my head around the logical shit.
The way that I look at it is that when this happens, meaning yearly, but like starting tomorrow, it will be dark before I get home from work. That's the way that I look at it.
Darker sooner, man.
Yeah, because it's because the time falls back, meaning that it gets dark an hour earlier now. And right now it's getting dark around 6:20-ish p.m. So drop that back an hour. It means that starting tomorrow, it will be dark at like 5:20, 5:30, which is fucking early for it to be dark outside. But, and that is why people get depressed in the wintertime.
In Pennsylvania, right? Because you go to work in the morning, it's dark. You maybe get a half hour lunch or something. Maybe you take a stroll outside under some gray clouds. You go back to work. And then you leave and it's dark. So you don't see the sunlight 5 days of the week, really, if you're inside for a job for 4 or 5 months. Except for the weekends.
I have never had issues, historically have not had issues with seasonal depression, but in the last probably 2 to 3 years, I've really fucking struggled in the wintertime.
Dude, that's why the band is so good. When you get productive with music, it's a good release for that. I know Nate needs it too. We've talked about it.
The band is good. Hockey helps me a little bit more because it's like a physical release. You know, like I get out there and I literally just beat the shit out of myself and it makes me feel just better expending all that energy.
It's like torture.
But yeah, but the band is a good like mental focus.
It's a good distraction.
Yeah. And video games do help as well, but it's one of those things where it's like at the beginning, like right after this, like starting tomorrow, what's going to happen is probably for the next 2 weeks, I'm going to want to go to bed at like 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because it's going to be fucking dark for like 3 hours at 8 o'clock. So I'm like, my, circadian rhythm is going to be all fucked up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. But that's it. Other than that,
life is good.
Right.
Life's peachy. Cool. Yeah. Same here. Yeah. Same thing. Dealing with the COVID thing. Same situation as you. I don't think I have it. I could have it. I have no fucking clue if I have it. I feel like I should have it, but all signs are saying that I don't, except for like how I feel in my head. A little congested. So if you're hearing it in the podcast, it's probably just a common cold. But yeah, things are good, man. We're talking about, I know you had a home project recently where you redid your bathroom, and we're making plans to do our bathroom this spring. So we're starting to look at prices and how much we can actually do on our own, and starting to pull numbers. I've been painting some miniatures. I get my Hero Quest. I got my confirmation on my Hero Quest coming Thursday. I'm supposed to be going to a concert Thursday in Buffalo to see Hot Water Music play, which is going to be fantastic. Aside from that, not a whole lot. Had some days off work this past week, and I'm going to hit the ground running on Monday. We're recording this kind of late for our show. It's going to be a different vibe. I feel like there's a different vibe to our show right now. Episode 194. It's a different vibe. Oh, also, if you haven't, Jake, and if the listeners haven't, y'all really need to watch the YouTube intro for episode 193, the Halloween episode, and look at what I did, because it is fantastic. And if you can name all of the games that I spliced into the intro, then you're something else, because I did something pretty cool. I was so proud of myself. I took a little extra time for our intro with the cool Halloween theme song. But it might make more sense to you, Jake, if you hear it with the music. But yeah, it's kind of synced to the music, the cool thing that happens, the cool stuff. Anyways, I don't know. You guys should watch it. With that out of the way, I'm going to talk about some games. I am playing... Actually, I'm done playing, but I have played and beaten, thanks to Jacob, The Evil Within in the last couple days, for sure. And it was good. I beat it. I ended up beating it on easy, and it pisses me off because I got all the way to the last chapter in the game, and the last difficult battle, I would say. And it's with these two things that have like these weird heads. And you have to defeat them, and on regular difficulty they really, really restrict your ammo, and you take way more damage. And I had barely any ammo, and I could get the first one killed, but I probably tried 25 times. And my death count at the end of the game, it tells you your death count was like 150 on regular mode. I died like 150 times playing that game, and but I got through it pretty quick. I liked it. I miss games like that. It was a very double-A feeling kind of game. I know Bethesda published it, but I don't know who made the game, Evil Within.
Tango Gameworks. Shinji Mikami was the creative director, who was the guy who did Resident Evil 4.
I really liked the game.
It's fucking awesome.
The Evil Within was great.
There are people who think that the second one is better. I disagree.
Wow.
The first one is better. When you asked me, because you messaged me last night or the night before that about the ending of the game, about how you were having trouble with it, and it's been so long I don't remember. It wouldn't surprise me if I knocked the difficulty back like you did, but I remember the one thing I remember about the end of the game is not liking it. But I loved everything else about the game.
Yeah, I have some bones to pick with it, and it's an older game, but I played it because I wanted to play a scary game around Halloween, right? And it's been on my bucket list for a while, my back catalog, so to speak. So Jake, maybe you'll remember this, but you press the circle button to burn downed enemies, right? And you got to rack up matches, right? So you keep matches in your inventory. And sometimes if you sneak up on an enemy while he's like down, like a zombie that's already just down and not animated, you can burn them. And they set fire and they don't reanimate. So the problem is sometimes you shoot a zombie with a gun, and he'll fall down or she'll fall down, and then you run up to him, you want to burn him, and you're mashing the button to do it, but you don't get the prompt. And while you're trying to throw a match down, other fucking zombies attack you. And like had the prompt just showed up, it would have been easy peasy, and you would have gotten away with exactly what the game is designed to allow you to do. So I had issues with the circle button not coming up when I wanted to burn enemies that were incapacitated on the ground. I feel like I had to be just the perfect distance away. This seems like it's an issue with Fallout games as well. And I know Bethesda didn't make this game, but I think like it had a AA feel as far as that goes. And I don't think that the shooting mechanics were super tight. There was some input lag for sure.
It was made in the RE4 style. I mean, they use like the modern kind of control scheme. You don't have the tank controls anymore, but like it's pretty clunky still, if I remember. But I
liked it. It was fun. The dialogue was cheap. Like the voice acting was terrible, but that's what I liked about it. Like it was like a throwback to those old kind of scary games, you know. And I enjoyed it. So the final boss battle was not the boss battle that I had trouble on. The final boss battle was just like it was very easy. I don't know if you had trouble in the very final boss battle. It's like it's a 7-year-old game, I think. The guy the Ruvik is like the bad guy, and he kind of he gets into like the brain of this big beast or something, and like he's operating it like Krang would in Ninja Turtles, and he's controlling this big beast, and all of a sudden there's like a Humvee with a machine gun on it, and it's flying around somehow, and your guy ends up in it, and they tried to do too much with the ending, and then the very end of the game is just one shot. Like you just shoot your pistol with the guy as he's approaching, and it's like game over, and it's just like shows you this big ending. So yeah, the final boss battle wasn't very fun, but the boss battle before that, like I'll tell you what, it was hard earned to get to chapter 15 on the regular difficulty. There were many, many, many attempts on some difficult parts where I was restricted on ammo that I had to get real creative to get through or get lucky. And I pushed and I pushed and I pushed and I pushed until I got to that one. And I was about ready to rage quit, but I knew I was in the last chapter, and I knew I was so close to the end that I just bumped the difficulty down, and I didn't get the normal difficulty trophy, which really makes me mad. They should have made more ammo available.
I don't think there is a trophy for the different difficulties.
There is. I checked. Yeah.
Is there?
Yeah, you have the easy one as well. I compared our trophies.
Okay, so I must have switched it at some point. But like I remember the ending, hating the final boss battle, not in that it was hard, but in that I thought it was stupid.
Yeah. It's not like any of the other boss battles.
Yeah, it sucks because like
the game's not easy.
The first 3/4 of the game, if I remember correctly, are so engaging, just from like a thriller sort of perspective. But like I remember, it's like you remember that game Outlast or whatever the fuck it is. It's like the game is awesome until like the last 10%. You're like, why the fuck did you do this?
Yeah.
Like why is this the way you decided to end it? It ruins the whole game.
That's why it was never game of the year, right? It's not a complete vision. It doesn't. But I don't know. I will admit, the game is awesome. Even if you do have to dial back the difficulty because it's hard, it is a game I think that everybody should play. And if there is one thing about I was going to say Resident Evil 2, but I mean the Evil Within 2, is that I think that the game is probably balanced a little better. But it's less grounded and more like, because it's like, you'd probably understand what I mean when I say that like the Evil Within is kind of like the fucking Matrix. Yeah, it is.
Like in like there's like themes that are similar in terms of like what's real and what's not.
Yeah,
kind of
it's interesting.
And like the Evil Within 2 is like 100% in the fucking Matrix.
Oh.
So like it's just balls to the wall from the beginning of the game.
You don't ever come out of it.
Yeah, and that's why I don't like it, because there's no moderation. You know what I mean? So like it's on full tilt. It's good. Don't get me wrong, it's good, but it's like it's crazy the whole time, as opposed to like the Evil Within, where it was like
you were
paced
like, what the fuck
is going on? Like, and like it added to the thriller component to it and everything. I don't know. I don't know. I guess you can kind of comment on what your final opinion is of it, but I still have very positive opinions about the game, even though I didn't like the ending.
Yeah, no, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was worth playing. I think if anyone's looking for a good, scary game, it's a great place to jump on. Now, if they're doing an Evil Within 3, I don't know if it's going to come to Sony. It might. If it's still being published by Bethesda, I doubt it.
Tango is a Bethesda studio.
So that no, we're not going to get it. So don't get too invested if they're making a third one, because you're not going to be able to finish it off your solely PlayStation. So I don't know. I'm happy I didn't have to pay for it, but I wouldn't have been disappointed had I. So thanks for letting me borrow the game. But
sure.
it was on sale for like $10. I was going to buy it, and then I was like,
I have the Evil Within 2 as well, but
you said it's digital, right?
I think it's digital. Yeah. I mean, now that doesn't mean that I can't let you fucking do whatever, but like,
I mean, like that my was brother on sale and I too. Yeah.
Yeah, my brother and I, you could probably get it for almost nothing now if you wanted to play it. Like, you could probably buy it for $5 on eBay if you wanted to.
I probably will. I might wait till next Halloween to dive into it. It'll be on sale then for sure. But Jake, what are you playing right now? You doing anything fun?
So I've been playing Far Cry 6 still.
Yeah.
I know we're like a week and a half since our last podcast.
Yeah, we're running a little late this time, but that's fun.
Yeah, so excuse me. So like, I have been playing it. I went on another work trip this past week, and so I took my PS4 with me because I refuse to take my PS5 with me on trips.
Yeah,
because I don't want to fucking break it. And so even though I'm like, it's gonna run like shit on the PS4. There's one thing that is kind of cool about the Far Cry 6 thing is that I can literally just go into the game, upload my save to the cloud, and then turn on my PS4, download the save, and I just am where I'm at.
Yeah, so that is nice.
So it's not, I don't have to worry about like some games between PS4 and PS5, like you can't transfer saves or whatever. Ubisoft, for all of their flaws, they do make that very easy. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I'm like 50%. I looked at my save. I'm 22 hours into it, or 23 hours into it, and I am about 50% of the way done with the story. So I still got a ways to go. I am interested in playing a few other games. For example, I haven't finished Diablo 2 Resurrected yet. There isn't really a whole lot in terms of like PlayStation stuff that's coming out until like February. So I'm just kind of catching up on some third-party stuff. And I know this is a PlayStation podcast, but I also have an Xbox. And this week, Forza Horizon 5 comes out, which is a racing game.
Yeah.
I might check that out because it's on Game Pass. But mostly, and I've mentioned this on the podcast before, I'm excited for the early to mid-December when Halo comes out. Other than that, like, I don't really have any crazy plans as far as what I'm going to do with games. So I don't know what's next. I might actually jump into, because we got for free Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning this month. I might jump into that because I never actually played it, and I've heard a lot of really good things about it. So
yeah,
but yeah, for what I've been playing, mostly Far Cry 6. I still maintain that Far Cry 5 is a better game. People always talk about how they think that Far Cry 3 is the best fucking Far Cry game. And yeah, it might be the most influential, but I still personally maintain that Far Cry 5 is my favorite. So, although I did have a shitload of fun with Far Cry 1. But anyway, so that's kind of where I'm at, I guess.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that, man. So as far as games, man, I don't know what I'm diving into next. I'm still slowly picking away at Darkest Dungeon. Some of those new games that we got for Plus look decent. Speaking of which, one of the free games we got this November is The Persistence. So going into news, PS5 users will be happy to learn that the enhanced version is now free as well. Initially, when The Persistence was made a Plus game for November, users couldn't get the free upgrade. which was weird for PS5. So now you can. So all is now right with the world. So that game was kind of cool looking, and it was a VR game. You can also play it non-VR if you choose, I believe. But let's move forward just a little bit. There's new gameplay. Well, I guess now there's gameplay for From Software's upcoming title, Elden Ring. Have you seen any of that yet?
I saw that there was footage up, and I was thinking about watching it, but I did not watch it.
It wasn't impressive to me. It just looked like another Souls game.
It looks like a From Software game.
Yeah, there was nothing about it that I was like, oh shit. Like, it looked a little janky, honestly.
Well, we talked about this, I think the last episode was where we covered the state of play, where I mentioned that for whatever fucking reason, it's been, 40 years, but for whatever reason, the Japanese still cannot make a proper trailer for gameplay in a video game.
Yeah, and this was just like
I don't understand why it's impossible for them to do, but why is it so hard to make this look good? Ask somebody from fucking the Silicon Valley to make your trailer.
But I'm sure people are going apeshit over it, and I'm sure a lot of people disagree with me, but to me it just wasn't like, whoa, like this is what they've been cooking up. Like, it was 15 minutes of gameplay. It wasn't even like a trailer. It was like here's 15 minutes of gameplay with a guy kind of talking over it and talking about what was happening and what was going on. Those just seem so bland and boring to me. Like, okay, so now we are going to head over to the blah 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 portion of the map, and then he shows the guy clunking along, and then I just noticed the one part that I saw, the character was like running up a hill or upstairs or something, and it just, maybe it was even on a horse. I can't remember what the hell was going on. I watched it a few days ago, and it just, the animation looked kind of shitty, and it didn't look like it really. I don't know, man. It's like 2021. This game that has so much hype. I felt like what the heck studio, Blue Point remake of whatever game they did,
Demon Souls,
looked better than Elden Ring. So
my brother is super stoked for this because he likes those kind of games. So
we need to bring him on. We've had him on before.
I would love to hear, because he said he's waiting for that, because him and I were talking a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. And he was asking me about Far Cry, and he told me that he beat Kenna.
Oh yeah.
And he basically commented on it similarly to you, whereas the game is very cutesy, but the boss fights are fucking crazy.
Yeah, they're punishing.
So we were talking about, because him and I have linked PSN accounts before so that he can play some games on my account and vice versa.
Yeah.
So he was asking me about Far Cry 6, and he kind of mentioned that he was excited for Elden Ring, which is cool because he was into Bloodborne and stuff like that. So
sure.
I'm actually curious to see the opinion of somebody who is a
Souls fan.
I don't know if you want to call it a Souls fan, or Souls like, or whatever. Because to me, it's open world, but if it's just a Souls game, but now I have to fucking run all over a map to do all the dying, then I'm even less interested.
Yeah.
But if it's hey, let's lighten up on the difficulty, but it's that same aesthetic and it's open world, then yeah, I'm interested. Because the thing about the Souls games is that they're fun to play. I just don't have the patience to be able to just get my ass kicked over and over and over and over.
I just did that in Evil Within. I'm not ready to play another game like that, dude. I died so many fucking times, and it was frustrating.
Well, the thing about the Evil Within is that the only reason why it's difficult is because you didn't manage your resources properly.
Oh, I certainly did, but I don't think they gave you enough.
You probably started managing your resources
correctly
properly
halfway through
after it was too far. You know what I mean? It's one of those things where you don't realize you need to get they didn't balance the game well enough where you were you got to a point. You should be able to get to a point where you're okay, now I know, and I need to manage everything properly. But once you got to that point, it was too far and you were always behind.
Yeah,
so
the upgrade tree, right, is you can upgrade how much ammo you can carry. That's part of the upgrade tree.
Oh, dude, that fucking crossbow is the way to beat that game, but you have to like
disarm the trap,
do it really good,
and like ramp it up.
Plus, there's a little bit of luck involved with some of the enemies. You got to get headshots and like
there's like critical chances and stuff. It's weird.
Have you played Resident Evil 4?
We're back into this conversation. I love it. We're never gonna get through the news. I think I have. Yeah, I can't imagine I haven't.
It's so good. Yeah. I love Resident Evil 4, but it is hard. It's hard, like The Evil Within is hard.
Yeah.
So if you didn't like the difficulty of The Evil Within, you wouldn't like the difficulty of RE4.
I didn't mind the difficulty. I just didn't. I didn't like how I felt like I was getting ripped off a lot. Like I said, when I was trying to burn bodies, I'm sitting there trying to fucking light a match and the prompt's not coming up and guys are coming up behind me and I'm like, just fucking light the match. And like, I couldn't do it. And then a guy would come up and like start hitting me and like I'd go into like a cut scene, or like I tried to leap up and jump onto a ledge and the chainsaw guy would sneak up behind me and I couldn't fucking get my guy to like ambulate over onto the top of the thing, and then you get the chainsaw through the stomach and insta-death. There's a couple insta-death situations in the game with the bosses that like really piss me off. Like if they catch you, you just die. And it's like, that's frustrating because part of the gauge that you up, like one of the upgrade trees is like how far you can run before you get exhausted, right? And they don't tell you till halfway through the game that if you mash X after your guy's exhausted, they recover their stamina faster. So like, there's like little tips like that they don't even tell you. It's like, oh, if you would have just told me the first time I got exhausted, then I could have been doing this the whole time. But instead I get exhausted and then the guy would come up and kill me. But like you could like pound the button and then like get your stamina back and run again. They just don't.
Well, and that game
complaints
too,
like that. We're back into the talk, but it's
so
just
to be fair, that game started with inspiration from Resident Evil 4. So it started from an antiquated sort of gameplay perspective. But the other thing about that game, and maybe you did this, maybe you didn't, but you have to really focus on unlocking as many of those lockers in that dream world as possible.
Finding the keys, the hidden keys.
Yeah, you have to fucking get as many of those fucking things. I didn't get a lot of them. And that, I think that's part of the reason why you struggled. Don't get me wrong, the game is still hard.
It's a really cool concept, those keys.
Yeah.
So for the listeners, real quick, so what it is, there's like hidden statues in the game, right? You break a statue, you get a key, and then you enter this like weird limbo area where there's like
it's a mirror. Like you go into a mirror and then you're in like a psych ward. It's weird. Yeah.
And then in the back there's like a detective's table, and then there's a typewriter where you can save the game, very Resident Evil. And then there's this back room with all these lockers, and if you have a key, you can pick whatever fucking locker you want and use the key and open it up, and usually there's something in there that's going to help you. So if you find these hidden keys in the gameplay area, then you can go back next time you find a mirror and then have access to all these resources. So again, that's something that I didn't even pick up on till about, I don't know, it's probably my fault, halfway through, and then I started looking for them. Search.
What did you do? Did you do all the shit with the where you get like the juice and like in the electric chair,
the green gel,
the skills and stuff? Yeah,
it was a good game. Sorry, let's move on to the next news point. So we said there was an Elden Ring trailer. What's next? Nice resolution upgrade has been introduced to Psychonauts 2 for PS5 users who are playing the PS4 version via a game patch, which will also include some other updates to the game. Jake, you got Psychonauts 2, right?
Dude, I will tell you this. Psychonauts 2 is fucking awesome. I know we've talked about it on the podcast before. It's really good.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in a mascot platformery kind of game with a little bit more nuance to it.
That'll never come back to PlayStation, but go ahead.
What's that?
It's not going to come back.
It would never come back to PlayStation? Yeah, you're probably right. But it's really good. It's when I say it's really good, I say it's really good in that it is a good game, but it's also like a breath of fresh air.
Yeah.
Like every so often I need a game like this where I'm not in these dire circumstances. It's not this third person like cinematic thing that is just, you know, deteriorating my humanity. Like it's just a fun, quirky sort of game kind of for kids or whatever. You know, like I say that, like a similar thing about like Astrobot.
Yeah.
Where it's like, man, that game a 10 out of 10? No. But what it did for me psychologically when I played it, to me is so like it's worth it. Like everything about it is worth it. Mm-hmm. So, you know, Psychonauts is one of those types of games, and Ratchet is another one, although I would say maybe a little bit less so. But I would love to see more of these types of games. I'm kind of bummed that they've kind of died, like mascot platformers, and I'll put that in quotes because, you know, it's sort of a broad sweeping brush or whatever, but I'm kind of bummed that there aren't more of them out there. Like I would love to see another Sly Cooper game. Like I think that would be awesome to like jump in and just be able to be like, oh, you know, this isn't like what I'm playing doesn't really. We got a
Crash game, but I wasn't really into that. It was a Plus game actually too.
Yeah, well, the Insane was it the Insane trilogy or was it Crash 4? I don't remember what.
I think it was the trilogy. Yeah, it was the trilogy for sure.
I just I couldn't get down with I didn't play all the Crash games, but I just couldn't get down with the gameplay loop. Like, it's not really a loop, but it's like where you're like, it's like a runner, but you're running towards yourself, and like
not in all of them, but you do, yeah.
Yeah, it's not really my bag, you know. I don't know.
Yeah, it seemed a little gimmicky at the time. I don't know. Well, maybe in hindsight it seems gimmicky, but I think you're right. I don't know. We need to make a couple lists for some bonus shows. You know, we have the idea to do the back catalog, top 5 back catalog lists for 2022 games we're going to try to visit, and then we should do like our favorite platformers. You know, maybe the top 3 platformers between you and I. Things that, you know, I guess we got to kind of keep it on PlayStation, which is tough because there aren't a whole lot of.
I was going to say, I could probably tell you my top 3 platformers, and none of them are on PlayStation.
Richard, dude. Richard.
What? Is Richard a platformer?
I don't know. It could be argued.
Would you call it that? Cause
I don't
know. Like, do you think that we would get in trouble? Like, I just want to make you remember when
you used the intro song to Richard?
You remember like on PS3 when you would hover over Richard and it would be that song that would play in the background? Not when you started it, but in the cross media bar. Like, I just want to like make that PS This Is Awesome theme song because it's so fucking good. I'd like to play
that game again. I should revisit.
It's so good. Like,
Richard.
they'll never remaster that game, but I would love to play it again.
Yeah. All right. Well, hey, moving on with the news. Welcome to the PS This Is Awesome Patreon page. For those of you that don't know, my name is Fred Oakman.
And I'm Jake Peters.
And we're a PlayStation podcast currently in our 10th year. Our first episode aired in July of 2012, where we discussed and speculated on the arrival of the PS4. Over the years, we've used this podcast to take a break from adulting, share our love of video games, and in particular, PlayStation.
The audio podcast is available on all major streaming services, and we have recently made the leap to uploading video content and video podcasting to our YouTube channel, as well as the very occasional Twitter post or live stream. Over the years, we have covered everything from PS3 to PS Vita through the launches of PS4, PSVR, and now PS5. As our audience has grown over the years, we have decided to start this Patreon with the hopes of creating a medium in which we can give you the opportunity to help support our show.
And as a test bed, we're starting with a single tier. It's called the one and only $1 Club. So with your support at the $1 level, we're going to mail you a premium vinyl cut sticker and give you a shout out on the podcast. But at this time, unfortunately, we can only ship to the US and Canada. But this is subject to change depending on your interest.
So whether you're new to the show or you're a frequent flyer, we are forever thankful for your support and hope you can find it in your little gaming heart to join us in the one and only $1 Club. Until next time, like PlayStation, podcasting, and Patreon. P.S. This is awesome.
Resident Evil Village is apparently getting some free DLC. I don't know when it's going to happen. They don't know what it is. Capcom kind of hinted that was happening. So don't expect to get it anytime soon. And also, don't expect to get any significant updates or free DLC for Cyberpunk 2077 this year. So CD Projekt Red made an update to their much cherry-picked roadmap, and they have reset some of the dates, the goals on their roadmap. So they moved the DLC for Cyberpunk 2077 and significant updates to the game out to 2022. I'm fine with that. Like you said, you don't even care about the game. We're trying to keep the news on Cyberpunk low for the podcast. Jake's looking.
Wait, is this new news? Because I thought we had already recently talked about them extending.
Well, no,
did they do it again?
No, the PS5 version was extended, right? But the DLC had always kind of had fourth quarter 2021 date on it. Because they, as CD Projekt Red does, they give a lot of free DLC with their games. It's kind of how I think they boost their numbers and sell them so quick. They had planned on getting the DLC out by the end of the year, so that was changed on the roadmap recently. Secretly, it seems. They didn't really come out and announce anything. I don't think they did, at least, but they changed their roadmap. And then moving forward, this is kind of excited, Jake. You and I both like the Uncharted series. It was revealed that Skydance New Media, a new studio, working on a Marvel title. And that's not all. Amy Hennig, the mind behind some of our favorite Uncharted games, will be at the helm. So this was news that broke, and I'm happy to see that Amy's back involved with a game that's hopefully not going to get canceled. I think the last game she was working on it was a Star Wars game that didn't really work out or something.
I think it just got canned, yeah.
So
for Visceral, I want to say.
Yeah, so I mean, does she still have it? We'll find out.
I'm sure she still has it.
She probably has a lot of it right now because she hasn't been able to get that creative energy out. So we'll see. I don't know.
I've never heard of this Skydance New Media though.
Yeah, I don't know what it's all about, but this was from Push Square. They had an article up about this. So it's interesting, and she's really excited about it, and it's going to be cross-platform, I believe. So, which is interesting because a lot of the Marvel games are PlayStation focused. It seems like we've got Guardians of the Galaxy. We're getting the Wolverine.
Marvel title.
Oh man, I don't even know what Marvel franchise.
I hope it's what I want is
could be like an Iron Man game. I hope it's not like an Avengers shit. I hope it's something cool.
I don't give a crap about any superhero stuff. Mm-hmm. But what I want
what it's going to be though.
If sure, but I want it to be some obscure thing that I've never heard of before, or some super down to earth Marvel IP Jessica Jones or fucking The Punisher.
Dude, The Punisher would be sick, like a Frank Castle
something
game.
like that, where it's just okay, this is Marvel, it's superheroes for audio listeners. I'm doing the air quotes, right? But it's down to earth, legit fucking story that is just not fucking butterflies and rainbows and magical powers and shit like that.
So not a platformer.
I would be even okay with. I don't care so much about that.
Love to get out of the serious stuff, but I think for a Marvel game, we need more serious stuff. I think we need like you're saying, what if it was a Punisher game that kind of felt like the next gen Max Payne or something, right? Where you go through the death of his family and you go through the stuff, and it's very story driven, and you just get to be a badass. You get to be the Punisher and kick ass. That'd be amazing. Daredevil, maybe even. Daredevil would be kind of cool, but that would be weird because Daredevil's blind.
And his superpower is sight. That is one of the fucking dumbest things. He's one of the dumbest superheroes on the planet. Don't get me wrong. I think it's fine. Daredevil is fine, but to me, conceptually, from the outside, not a comic book fan.
Isn't it hearing or is it sight? It's hearing, right?
He's blind. But his superpower is that his hearing is so good.
It's better than
seeing. Like he can see. Yeah. And I'm like, come on. Like it's cool, but it's fucking
It's like
hokey.
the old like blind master thing with all like G.I. Joe has a blind master, right? Who's like it's like the sensei who's robbed of his vision for some reason, but is like an amazing martial artist, right? And you're like, that's just so amazing. Like how can you predict all the moves and do all the blocks and like know how many fingers I'm holding up? Like, you know, you're just that wise, or you're that amazing of a person. You know, I think there's something to it. There's a lot of history behind that. But yeah, I don't know if a Daredevil game would be cool. But I would love to see the Punisher work its way back in, because they had a really good thing on Netflix with the Punisher series with God, what's his name? The guy who played Shane in The Walking Dead. I can't remember his name. I really like him as an actor too. It doesn't matter. Anyways, he did a great job. Before him, it was Thomas Jane, but I think it was what is his name? I just looked it up recently too, because I was trying to find him in another movie called Sweet Virginia, I think is the movie he was in. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Moving forward. So we'll have to. Well, I guess we'll just have to wait and see what their game is. My guess is that it's probably not the Punisher, because that would be too cool. It's probably something like a standalone Rocket from Guardians of the Galaxy game or something.
It's probably like the Silver Surfer.
What's another, like, you know? It would be kind of cool to get like a Marvel game where you actually play as like the bad guy, right? Like, what if it was like you were like the bad guy? You were like, I don't know. That'd be cool. A Kingpin
if
game.
You were like fucking Galactus, and you were just like the size of a galaxy, just destroying shit. Like, that would be awesome, but it wouldn't make a good game. But it would.
They need to have a game where the roles are reversed, where you're the bad guy. I think it'd be fun. You get to pick on the good guys. All right. So, anyways, Kena. We talked about Kena Bridge of Spirits a while ago. Your brother played it. He kind of had the same opinion as I did. I know, because he sent me a PlayStation message and said he was having a lot of trouble in the Woodland Spirit.
You know what would be? Sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't mean to interrupt you. But like, I feel like they could do something awesome in terms of like Amy Hennig style story. Mm-hmm. If it was like Captain America or like Bucky Barnes or like something like that, where it's like one of those characters that's like cool but not cool.
What era would you do? It like the World War II era? Or would you do modern day? I think World War II would be awesome. Imagine being Captain America in World War II.
That would be dope as shit. Or even like, they're already doing a Wolverine game, or Insomniac's doing it. But like, you know, Wolverine during World War II would be dope. But like, I don't know. I think the Punisher is the dopest option, to be honest with you. I would love to have just like a good, just like a well-written Punisher game.
It'd be tough to pull off, because you would have to have a lot of violence in it to make it work, to make it visceral and be like the Punisher. You know what I mean? And I think this would probably be their first game out of the gates, and being a Marvel property, and they want it to be cross-platform. Like, I can't really imagine them going that route, but man, it would be rad to have an awesome Punisher game.
What about Spawn?
That'd be kind of sick.
That would be fucking awesome. Dude, I'll be honest with you. That movie from whatever it was, like 2000 or 2001 or whatever, 98 or... You remember that they made a movie? When did that come out? It came out in 97. Mm-hmm. Sorry, so I was a little bit off. That movie was pretty shitty, but it was like a fun movie. Like, they could make an awesome... I don't know. Continue. Sorry, I keep dragging you off track on this.
Yeah, this is the podcast where Jake just tries to derail me all day. No, it's fine. It's good. We're just moving forward. So you said your brother talked about Kena Bridge of Spirits really lately, and he actually messaged me and said that he was having trouble with the Woodland Spirit boss battle, and I said, yeah, dude, it's really tough. Eventually got through it, but there is a new patch for Kena Bridge of Spirits. It's going to buff the game a bit, make it run a little smoother. Just as a side note, again, kind of what he was saying, your brother, and you know, to kind of echo my sentiment or reinforce what I've said before about it, it is a gem of a game. And if you haven't seen it, I did a nice little takeaway video on Kena Bridge of Spirits on our YouTube channel. So go check that out. I think it's like a 5 to 8 minute long takeaway video of a lot of footage I edited from my playthrough and a lot of narrative and voiceover on it. So make sure to check that out if you're still interested in Kena. That was it for the news. Jake, do you have anything else news-wise that you'd like to add to the show today for the listeners?
I don't think so.
All right. Fair enough. We're pretty much through most of these new games because we're recording this and it is the 6th. And but let's go through them because we did miss some. We're a little bit behind on today's episode. So new games coming out or have been released. Sort of the Necromancer of PS5 and PS4 came out November 1st, November 2nd. We got First Class Trouble, which is a PS Plus game, PS5, PS4. Knockout City, which is a Plus game, PS5. And Shantae Half Genie Hero Ultimate Edition, PS5, PS4. That was the 2nd of November. 3rd of November, we got Bloodshore, PS4. Blood Rally Show, PS4. And the Solitaire Conspiracy, PS5. November 4th, we got Demon Turf, PS5, PS4. Encadia, PS4. Hellaborn, PS4. Just Dance 2022, PS5 and PS4. Mr. Driller Drill Land. Jesus, there's a platformer for you, I guarantee it. PS5, PS4. No, it's probably not. Pretty Girls Panic Plus, PS5, PS4. And Super Sammy Roll, PS5. And The Binding of Isaac Repentance, PS5, PS4. Binding of Isaac Rebirth was a really big game. I never heard anything about this Repentance thing. Is it a remake? Is it a sequel to The Binding of Isaac Rebirth? I don't know. November 5th, yesterday, according to the day we are recording this, we got Binary Star Infinity on PS4, Call of Duty Vanguard, PS5, PS4, which is a big release, Cave Bad, PS5, Christmas Break 2, PS4, Fast and Furious Spy Racers Rise of Shifters, PS4, Mobile Suit Gundam, Battle Operation Code Fairy, PS5, PS4.
What?
Pukin Bye Bye, PS4, Still Stand, PS4, and The Gardener and the Wild Vines, PS4. Those were the games that I'm aware of that got released this past week, and thanks to Push Square for getting that list together for us so we can just talk about it on the show. I didn't realize Call of Duty was coming out so soon, and I guess it's out. I did see some reviews, and I thought they were early reviews of the single player saying that it was very akin to kind of like... What's the Brad Pitt movie where they're like, it's kind of kill some Nazis? What the hell?
Inglourious
Yeah,
Bastards.
it kind of has that kind of a vibe to it, but it's the single player is pretty short, they said, the single player campaign. But I don't know. I guess if you want to look at reviews, I don't have that game, Jake. I don't think you have it, so go online and look for yourself. But it's one of those things. Call of Duty is always one of those games that I want to rent and not buy for the single player campaign. I don't know where you can rent games these days.
I don't even know if, I don't think Redbox even has PS5 games.
I don't know if they do. They might at this point, man. PS5's been out for a year now. So, and all those manufacturer warranties are expiring. FYI, if you got your PS5 on day one, it's now in the manufacturer's warranty on the PS5. I think is good for a year. So if shit goes haywire with your system now, it's up to fate. Good luck getting it fixed. Good luck finding a replacement unit also. So you better hope your PS5s are going to hang in there. You watch. I better make sure that I don't get jinxed here. I don't know, man.
I'm sure it'll be fine. I mean, if my PS4 or launch PS4 lasted for... It still works. I mean, I'm still using it, so
yeah.
I'm sure that there's probably some obviously PS5s that are breaking, but
yeah, probably. I bet you there's a lot actually. A bunch of people don't know how to take care of their fucking shit. You know, Cheeto fingers on the controllers, and I don't know, letting the dust bunnies invade. You know. You gotta air that shit out. You gotta clean out your system once in a while. You gotta take care of it. Quit eating all those Cheetos. You know, eat a salad or some shit while you play video games.
Dude, so do you like Doritos?
I do. So I was gonna be a Dorito snob, but yes, I like the spicy chili purple bags the best. I do like a regular Dorito also.
What is a regular fucking Dorito? You're talking about the nacho cheese?
Yeah.
All right, so
OG.
the sweet chili spicy ones, the purple bag, they're fucking dope, right?
Yeah.
They're the second best Dorito.
What's the first best?
Well, the regular nacho cheese one.
You think so?
The best one. I think so. I think just if you're just like objectively like, what's the best fucking Dorito?
If you had to choose one for the rest of your life.
So like I would agree that the sweet chili ones are objectively the second best one. Mm-hmm. People will probably, just from the sake of, historical sort of relevance, maybe say Cool Ranch is the second best, but I'd say you're wrong. Mm-hmm. But dude, my problem with Doritos these days, I'm just throwing this out there.
They're so expensive.
There's too big of a gap between the regular Doritos and the Flamin' Doritos. Have you ever had like the Flamin' Hot Doritos?
No, I haven't.
Of any variety, whether it's like the lime ones or like the regular nacho cheese ones or whatever.
No, I don't think I have actually.
It's like, let's just say the nacho cheese Doritos, which is like the OG Dorito. You've got the regular one. Mm-hmm. Tastes good. A baby could eat it. Then you've got the fucking flamin' hot nacho cheese one, which is like, I can have one and it's good, and then I have the second chip and I need to like freaking swim in a pond because it's so hot.
They're too hot? They're too much for you.
Like, I want there to be like a middle of the road fucking Dorito.
Yeah.
That's, and like there's like, they have these you've probably even seen them before. They have these like Doritos, like they call them like Doritos Dynamites or they're like a Dorito that's like rolled up into a tube. Have you ever seen this before?
No.
It looks like a Dorito that before they like made it hard, they rolled it up into a tube, and they like made it hard. That I don't even know what it's fucking called, but like they're really hot, and it's like you go from like hot, or you go from not hot to too hot to really fucking hot. It's like, give me like a middle of the road hotness.
Yeah.
Of the nacho cheese variety. That's what I want. And
like a middle ground.
Got it for me yet.
Kind of like not the deep end, but also not the shallow end. You want to get your shoulders wet, but you don't want to go under.
Yeah, I want that. I want that above ground pool that's 5 foot deep. That's what I want.
Yeah, not the 3.5 foot and not the 14 foot. Like, you want it just deep enough that, you don't have to try to get wet.
It's like our pool. We have an in-ground pool, and the shallow end is literally 3 feet deep. So when I'm in the shallow end, it's like to my ball sack.
Like you're standing in a puddle.
Yeah. And like the deep end is 8 foot deep.
So you're just fucking
So it's like if
under.
I want to just like stand in the pool and have it like up to my neck, I've got to like stand on the slope like halfway down the fucking pool so that like I'm
Why don't they have like
satisfied
5 foot deep pools that are just like that's the depth? Why is it always 3 foot versus like 9 feet or 8 feet?
It's probably because of like
children.
Yeah, it's like you can't just have a pool that's. But
what if it's 5 foot? The whole thing's just 5 foot deep. Like, it'd be like
that's what I want. Like,
so then no kids would want to use your pool, and adults would be like, "This is fucking awesome." Like, I'm not gonna drown, but at the same time, I'm like staying cool.
What I want is like a pool like mine, but the shallow end is like 4.5 foot deep.
Yeah, a little.
So that it's like
deeper.
Up to my nipples.
You gotta wait for it to rain.
And then like the deep end is 8 foot deep. So if I want to dive in, I can do that.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. This is the wrong conversation.
No, it's a great conversation.
November.
If I'm being honest, the podcast was a little lackluster today. There wasn't a whole lot to talk about, but I think we're on the right track here of keeping the listeners tuned in.
Dude, what happened this past week? Because like, we're in northern Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I went to North Carolina for work on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I got down there. I left. It's like whatever. It's a little bit chilly, but not too bad. I go down there. Totally fine. It's like fucking 65 degrees outside in North Carolina.
Yeah.
I come back up here, and it's like 20 degrees outside.
Yeah, literally.
And all of my shit is frozen.
Yeah, it was
like, what happened this past week? Like, it just became winter all of a sudden.
All of a sudden, yeah, it sucks. I don't know. I wish it. Excuse me. It shouldn't be a surprise, but it always is, because it does. It really comes out of nowhere. Like, you're like, well, the weather should be getting bad by now, but it's beautiful outside. And then, like, you wake up the next day and it's like 3 feet of snow. You're like, oh, there it is. It doesn't really ease you into it. It's like there's no slow decline in temperature and comfort levels. It's like either you're outside and you're sweating, or you're outside and you're fucking freezing. So it's frustrating. I understand.
It's getting to that time though where like I'm looking for my winter game. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if you have a winter game. I don't know if we've talked about this before, but like I have games where it's like it's cold outside. It might be sunny, but it's too fucking cold to do anything. So like I want to maybe play something and just like be wrapped up on the couch playing a thing. And like historically, Skyrim or the Elder Scrolls generally has been very important to me in that regard. But we've talked in the past couple weeks even about, I've mentioned that I'm almost positive that this Black Friday we're going to see a discount on the Mass Effect Legacy or Legendary Edition? Legacy Edition? Legendary Edition, whatever.
Yeah, it's all three.
Dude, the more I've been thinking about it, the more I'm like, that might be the thing.
If it's on sale for Black Friday, that might not be. And then you and I need to just sync it up and give ourselves a deadline to beat the first one so we can talk about it. And then that'd be fun.
You haven't played any of them, right?
No.
So I haven't beat the first one, so we can kind of go through that together or whatever. But like, I'm really excited to see what your opinion is on the second one specifically. And then the third one, whatever, I don't care. It's good. Don't get me wrong. Mm-hmm. But like to me, the second one is the pinnacle of the series. It's the Empire Strikes Back of Mass Effect.
So that's on my list. I haven't played the Final Fantasy remake yet. 7 remake. I haven't done that.
Oh, dude, you got to get to.
I have it. So, that'd be a good winter game.
Yeah, I need to play the Intergrade stuff, the Yuffie DLC. Mm-hmm. I mean, I got like probably 5 more years before the second part of the remake comes out, so I could probably figure it out at some point.
That's why I was in really no rush to play that, but I have it, and so that's on my list. BioShock 2 is on my list for a possible winter game.
Wait, you only played the first BioShock?
I played the first and third now.
Yeah, you should play BioShock 2. Did you play the DLC for Infinite?
I don't think so.
To be completely fair, I played the first episode of Burial at Sea, but I haven't played the second one. But BioShock 2 is good. It's not as good as 1 or Infinite, but it is still very good. You should play it.
You know what might be a great game to sink my teeth back into this winter? And this sounds ridiculous, but on the PS5, Red Dead Redemption 2.
So, yeah, it's one of those games. It's kind of like, for me, now I think Red Dead Redemption 2 is a better game. But for me, like Persona 5 Royal, I loved Persona 5. I thought it was really good. I thought Persona 4 had a better story. Persona 5 had better gameplay. But Persona 5 Royal came out. I never played it. It had a whole separate chapter with a new character and all this stuff. But I talked to a buddy of mine about it, and he was like, yeah, except the new shit you want to play is like end game content. And it's like, okay, so I got to play 90 hours of bullshit not bullshit, it's a good game, but like 90 hours of the same game I've already played just to get to the new stuff.
Yeah.
And like I don't want to deal with that.
Man, what about, I hear that. Like what? You know, I really want to play Last of Us 2 again. I really want to play that again. You know,
I do need to. I think that, like, from a personal perspective, I do need to play back through that game.
I don't know if winter's the right time. Because winter's going to be depressing, and that game's fucking depressing, man. I don't know if I want to do that in the wintertime.
Here's a problem with The Last of Us.
There's no good time to play it.
Well, that is a problem. But the other problem, too, is that, and I think that this is just generally the problem with that game, is it's too fucking long.
Yeah.
The game is too long. Like, if the game was 20 hours, the game took me almost 40 hours to beat. If the game was 20 hours long and I could just blitz through it, get the story, you know, absorb sort of what they were trying to portray to me as the consumer, because I thought about playing back through it again recently, and I was just like, I just don't know if I have it in me. It's one of those games that just takes so much out of you emotionally.
Yeah. Would it a second playthrough, though? Would it, now that you know the story, you know how it ends?
No, probably not. But at the same time, it's like I was just talking about Persona 5, for example. Yeah. Like, I was like, okay, I want to play Persona 5 again with New Game Plus. It still took me 90 hours to beat that fucking game.
That's insane.
So my guess is that even though I will be playing it through the second time, I will be able to sort of focus more on the story, be less affected by the jarringness of the narrative. It's still going to be one of those things where it's like, why is this game so long? You know, you have to, because not only are you fighting sort of the negative aspects of the story, which I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean that, like, the game, it's very heavy. The story is very heavy, but it's also very long. So it's like weighing on you for longer periods of time. You're just trudging deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And I would love for there to be like a abridged version of that game. I know it sounds stupid, but like, I want somebody to make like an abridged version where it's like, hey, I don't have to play all this bullshit. Just give me like the Cliff Notes version of this game where it's like 18 to 20 hours long. That's what I want.
Yeah.
'Cause I think if it wasn't for the fact that it took me so long to beat, I would have thought that it was like one of the greatest games ever made.
I still think it is. Regardless, I know exactly where you're coming from, though, because like, it got to the point where the length of the game started interfering with my enjoyment, because I was in my head, I was like, is it gonna end here? Is this where it ends? Is this experience ending soon? Nope, we're still going. Oh, okay, I see what they're doing. How long is this gonna happen for? Like, the whole time my brain is like, I wonder if this is like one of the last battles. I wonder if this is like, this must be the last like setting that I'm going to be in. You know, it's like, nope, they're going to throw something different at me now. Okay, wonder how long this part is. You know, and that my dude, maybe you were the same way, but like, my brain quit thinking about the story, or maybe it still thought about the story, but then an amount of bandwidth that should have been more intrigued by the story slowly shifted to, when is this going to end? Is this where it is? Is this happening now? Is this the real ending? Is this not the real ending? So like, it kind of fucked it. You know what I mean? Like, I see what you mean. I don't know.
Well, and I've heard this on other podcasts before, but other platforms have made the point that like, there's a whole section of the game, kind of like with we were just talking about Red Dead Redemption 2. There's a whole section of the game that could have just been lopped off and made DLC. Like, there's the whole probably last 8 to 10 hours of The Last of Us Part 2.
Could have been Last of Us Part 3
DLC chapter. right?
Yeah.
It didn't need to be a thing, right? There was a point of closure, I would say, between 2/3 and 3/4 of the way through that game, where it was like, okay, this is the end. And then they could have just been like, okay, 6 months later, here's the DLC where...
I mean, leave it on a cliffhanger, because it would have been a cliffhanger, where I think you're thinking it would
but it would have been a decent point of closure. And then it would have been like, okay, here's like maybe a few months later or 6 months later, it's like, okay,
discussion.
Ellie's struggling now. Let's go deeper. And there's another 6 to 8 hours. And
they could have wrapped up. So, dude, they could have done this. So they could have ended on the cliffhanger. There's a minor spoiler here. Like in the theater, right? Is that what you're thinking the cliffhanger would be?
I was thinking when, so spoiler alert.
Yeah, just shut the podcast off now if you haven't beat The Last of Us 2. Seriously. But then we're going to talk about this real quick. Go ahead.
My thought was when Ellie and whatever the fuck her lover's name was.
No, I don't remember her name.
When they retired to their farm.
There wasn't much after that, was there?
Well, there was that whole like 5 to 8 hour section where she's just like, I can't deal with this, and she has to go after Abby, and then like you find out that Abby's been captured, and then like you do all this stuff, and then it's like, oh, you find Abby, but she's like tied to a pole in the ocean, and you gotta like
so I'm thinking a rewrite. So here's what I was thinking. So I see what you're saying. I forgot the order of things, but I was thinking like you get to the theater where Abby gets the drop on them, but you're still Ellie. It's like, oh, someone's here. You hear so-and-so gets shot or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, and you rush down there and Abby's got her fucking gun on you and her gun on whoever the Joel's brother's name. I can't remember. It's Sam. It's not Sam. What the fuck his name is. That guy, right? And then it's just like credits roll. You don't know what fuck. No, credits don't roll. Smash cut to Ellie by herself in the home, right? Sitting there, it's vacated. You don't know what the fuck happened. She's miserable. You don't know why. Credits. And then the DLC is the whole Abby experience. You're Abby, and then you get to play the other side of it, and then you realize, you know, that Ellie goes out and tries to like fucking get closure. That would have been interesting, because then the DLC could have actually been a whole nother fucking game. If they would have just kept the perspective of Ellie for the game. And then because I think what they tried to do was what they did in the first Last of Us, right? Which is like, oh, you're Joel the whole game. Then nope, switcheroo, you're actually Ellie for a good part of the first game. And then they pulled the same fucking punch in the second game. And it had an impact, but it made the game twice as long. So if they would have just had DLC that was like the Abby experience, and it was like, but I guess it doesn't drive home the story or what they wanted you to feel, right? They wanted you to feel like Ellie wasn't like a good person, so to speak.
I think the hard part would have been selling a DLC that was just you playing as Abby.
Because no one would have wanted to at that point.
Right.
Because everyone would have hated her.
So, like, my whole thought process was, like, what if the game ends where the story kind of ends, and then the DLC is where Ellie is living this perfect life.
Yeah.
But she can't deal with the fact that she hasn't dealt with
post-traumatic stress and stuff, yeah.
Right? So she goes off to do the thing. That's the DLC. And it's kind of like Red Dead Redemption. It's like, it could have ended with Arthur Morgan's story, and then the DLC could have been the fucking John Marston shit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, because there's like 30 hours or 20 hours of John Marston shit after the Arthur Morgan stuff.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It's like, it could have been a clean break there, and that could have been the thing, right? And I know I appreciate them just including that and not having it be extra paid content, but I feel like it would have helped to sort of break up the experience in a way that would have made it more digestible. Personally.
Yeah. All right, let's close things off, man. Hopefully we didn't ruin this podcast for anybody. And, you know, I do feel like it's a different vibe today. I don't know what it is. I think that it's 11:30 at night. I've had a drink. You've had a drink or two. You watched the Pens game. I'm tired. We both have... did they win or lose? Gee, I just want an answer. They win or lose?
They lost in the shootout.
Yeah, that sucks.
It was an awesome game.
Okay.
But yeah. They were ahead, and then Minnesota fucking scored 2 goals with an empty net at the end of the game. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. Penn still got a point, but
fair enough. Well, let's shoot out of here. What do you say? So unfortunately, there's no music closing this show. I need, and Jake needs, all of y'all to get creative and write some shit so we can put it on the end of our show here. Send an MP3 to us. psthisisawesom@gmail.com, along with your band name and the title of the song, and we'll notify you when and if it goes live. So in the meantime, what I'm going to do is recommend a band to everybody. I don't know these guys, but I've been listening to them a little bit more lately than before. It's like one of those bands that I heard and I was like, yeah, these guys are good. And then they dropped off my radar, and then I heard them again. I was like, yeah, these guys are fucking great. And then the third time I heard them, I was like, I got to get their shit. So they're called Drug Church. They're from Albany, New York. They're really fucking good, man. They are really, really great. They're heavy. They're loud. They sound fantastic. It's exactly the kind of music I needed to hear this past week. Check them out. Drug Church, they got an album out called Cheer. I don't know these guys. I don't even know I'm talking about them. And they put out another record called Tawny, like a five-song record. So you maybe have heard of them, but go check them out. It might be in your alley. So with all of that out of the way, thanks for just powering through this episode with Jake and I, this late night of PS. This is awesome. Opposite. PS, this is awesome. COVID brain. No, I'm just kidding. PS, this is awesome. Episode 194. So, like, everybody's gone to the Rapture. Everybody's golf. And Echochrome. PS.
Yes.
This is awesome.
Awesome.